Hi guys. Okay, today I'm going to talk about the value of a heating pad. A heating pad in tissue restoration or kind of anti-aging the tissue, I suppose. This has been just transformative for my body and restoring mobility and tissue health and just strength. It's truly, I think it actually really has to do with the doshas. So when you have the doshas of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and Vata's the body type of Vata person is very thin. It's low energy. It's because they're lighter. They have what you would call in physics less internal energy. And what happened, I was living in Mexico for a while, and I noticed that the heat just really helped my body a lot. And I was practicing the yoga asanas. I was practicing the sitting postures for hours every day. And by then, at 2 years of, I would wake up at 4 in the morning and train till about 11 every day, just with the sitting postures. I was able to do them, but it wasn't until I came back to Canada and started using heat that it actually, a much deeper heat, that it allowed everything to really open up and relax. And what I feel it did is it was the heat was adding an external energy source that was actually allowing the vibrational oscillations on a molecular level to occur much faster. And I think by combining that with the oil and some other things, it was I was able to increase the charge on the surface of the cell and pull back water in because the tissue feels totally revitalized, and I wouldn't have been able to achieve the depth in the postures without that degree of heating. And it took about an hour to 2 hours of just laying on the heating pad and letting tissue just loosen up and get relaxed and expanded. And then I would breathe into it and pressurize it and breathe out. And by kind of just constantly expanding that area, like prana, what they talk about prana and even vata, vata is the combination of air and space. It's not air really. It's the literal translation of vayu is wind, and it's wind and space. And wind means motion. It's not air. It actually has to do with space is a container for energy. So even space, as we know space to be, Einstein said space is more dense than matter itself, and we just don't feel space as being dense because of the geometry of it is in perfect equilibrium. And when we're in perfect equilibrium, everything cancels out and we can't perceive anything. So it's like in Ayurveda when they're talking about Vata being the combination of wind and space, it's the energy that's contained in the structure that gives it the structure. The structure needs to hold a particular amount of energy. That's why it has that geometry. And by using the heat, I can see why Vatas need heat. And we need a lot more heat than I thought before. And it's not just about living in a warm climate, it's we need to actually heat our tissues of our body to expand that because we actually need that in source of energy. And that creates a higher oscillation, increases surface charge, and we can keep cellular hydration. Cells really just lose water over time, and it's kind of by the age of 40, we're 60% less hydrated inside the cell than we were at 20. And water is the consciousness of the body. I'll get into that later, but that's what we lose. We lose water, and that is co-commingled with losing consciousness because our awareness is actually in the water itself. But to do this exercise, this one is I just felt as a most fundamental thing that I've done in the past couple of years is just putting the heating pack. I would start at my lower spine, and oftentimes I would just do this laying down in the morning when I'd wake up, and I would be reading or doing other things, and just put it on my tailbone. And once it warmed up, I just breathe into it and try to pressurize the area and breathe out. And I had taken a fall on my tailbone, so it was injured for about 21 years, and now it's completely fine. But it was I could breathe into it and almost make it hurt, just a little bit, like a 1 out of 10, and then I could breathe out of it. And every day I did that, it just kept expanding the space. It restored the volume around the structure, and everything started moving better. And that's what restoring Vata is. It restores a container of space so that the motion, the oscillation that can happen is correct, and the movement is the prana, that is the life force. So it was really the heat that transformed me, and that would be different in a pitta body or a kapha body. But it's for me, the heat was transformative, and I never would have been able to achieve these postures without it. The other thing I like to do in this position is just use a weighted vest. I just drape the weighted vest over top of me, and it just kind of settles your bones more and allows you that contrast so you can feel that relaxation. Okay, so I would use about 1 to 2 hours of heat in the spot, then practice the sitting postures. And I do that until the spine felt like you can completely, totally relax it. Okay, try that.